So it is the end of Saturday, our first week's work on the roof. Our first plan and our first work kind of breakdown suggested we would have fitted our panels. There they are. To both sides of the roof. At the beginning of the week, some of the initial work on the first purlins took a bit longer, so we revised, and we were expecting by the end of the day we'd have done one side of panels. That hasn't happened. We haven't done any work on the roof directly today. Instead, we've spent our entire day pretty much putting on the tarp, because tomorrow the weather's changed a bit, and so it looks supposed to be sort of thunder and some fairly impressive rain tomorrow. So we thought we would, well worth investing the time getting some tarp on the roof, because inside we've still got furniture and our tools and all sorts of things. So we hope this will do a job. Yeah, so a bit of the time was lost, kind of, I guess, underestimating how long it would take to do the purlins. But there are also a couple of other factors this week that I found really frustrating. So first of all, the questions we have about how the Duraside panels and flashings fit together. Spent basically Monday morning trying to write an email to ask for some help. It's kind of hard enough in English to talk through, you know, how does this panel fit with this panel in this situation, even when you've got kind of pictures and then you're sort of like cross-referencing pictures, and then having to translate that into French, and then make sure it still makes sense in English. So that was pretty much a whole morning from me. So Abby did some of that admin herself. The other really frustrating thing is we, in order to get the panels onto the roof, we ordered a come-along winch, because they're about 58 kilos a piece. So we can lift them, but getting them up onto the roof in a safe fashion, we decided some mechanical support was probably appropriate, as well as a bit of a MacGyver A-Team style S contraption, which you can see over my shoulder, which we will be testing properly in the coming days. So it's a series of kind of skis to winch the panels up. But yeah, ordered the winch and picked one off Amazon because not only because it was incredibly good value for the quality and the characteristics, but also it was supposed to come on Wednesday at the absolute latest, which was the first day we were expecting to possibly get round to fitting our panels. Unfortunately, Chronopost France are a lot of the delivery companies that seem to operate in this area are poor, but no, it's not Chronopost France. This is DPD France. First of all, a notification on Wednesday to say it had been delivered when it hadn't. Tried to click on the thing to get the evidence of delivery and it wasn't available. Spoke to the vendor. They sort of said, well, as far as we're concerned, it's been delivered, so it's tough. Then the next day, there was a notification to say that they were going to try and deliver it again. So obviously the first time someone reported it being successfully delivered was a lie. And I guess in order to make that work on their system, someone had to fabricate some evidence or upload some nonsense into a system. So that was a lie. So they tried to re-deliver it, failed again. And then the report this time was that the address is wrong, but the address isn't wrong. We have this trouble all of the time. We don't understand how difficult it is. Our address is the station in Sardinia. So even if you don't know where it is, you can see it from the main road. Either drivers just can't find us, or they go to the station in like the next village, which is unfortunately like the station, although it's not a house, but it's in. The village is called Jonse, although unfortunately it's in like the postal village code of Sardinia. But I still don't understand why you would get it wrong in that fashion. This is the most obvious place to come when the fucking address is the station, Sardinia. So I'm really disappointed, frustrated, quite angry actually at DPD France. I think yeah, there's a whole number of individuals there that are underperforming in a very serious fashion. So I've tried to complain. We'll see what happens. But so we've got to go and pick that up ourselves, which means driving all the way to Perpignan. That's an hour's trip there and an hour's trip back. That's like 56 kilometres in each direction, for something that should have just been delivered to our door 3 days ago. And that's part of the reason that we're in this position. So yeah, it does seem to be a predominant feature of living here. Getting stuff delivered is really difficult, but I just don't understand why it's hard. What is the problem? More constructively, what could we change to make this situation more straightforward for everyone? I don't know. I'd love to know. So yeah, so today's summary is that feels like we haven't got very far. And yeah, partly the product not being super obvious as to how to use it, and the online instructions being very poor, but also some wider failures, and us taking a little bit of time with some extra things. So this is the reality of our DIY job. So it's taken longer than a day, as some people seem to manage, and it's going to take longer than a week. Maybe that's realistic. Maybe we were foolish to think otherwise, but there we are. That's where we're at. We're going to have a day off tomorrow. We're going to a beer festival, so on one hand I hope it thunders and lightens and rains a lot, because otherwise we kind of wasted our day, but on the flip side, that'll make the beer festival, which will be outside, a bit less enjoyable. So we're going to do that, step away from the build for a little bit, and then maybe pick this up again on Tuesday, when the weather says we should have Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe Thursday, which is clear. If we don't get it finished by then, we're in a lot of trouble, because May basically is rain every single day, with a few exceptions, and we really don't want to be leaving our panels outside through that sort of weather, even if they're tarped. So yeah, we failed to meet our first fairly large window. Let's see if we can do it in the second window. But yeah, this is our reality of trying to do a DIY jewellery side sandwich re-roof.